For decades, Catherine O'Hara has been one of those rare performers who felt less like a celebrity and more like a familiar presence in people's lives. Her work didn't demand attention. It invited comfort. Whether she was playing an overwhelmed mother, an eccentric artist, or a woman holding herself together with humor, she carried an emotional warmth that lingered long after the screen went dark. In a world that often treats entertainment as disposable, her performances became rituals, revisited year after year. She didn't just make audiences laugh, she gave them permission to breathe. That kind of connection doesn't come from fame alone. It comes from emotional honesty, discipline, and a deep respect for the audience. Catherine's career reminds us that laughter can be a refuge, not an escape, and that the artists who provide it often carry far more weight than they ever let on. Built different from the beginning, there is something poetic about how Catherine O'Hara has always stood slightly apart from the expected path. Even early in her life, she embodied the idea of being built differently, not as a limitation, but as a lens through which she viewed the world. She never chased loudness or spectacle. Instead, she observed, absorbed, and transformed everyday chaos into something meaningful. This instinct shaped her comedy, allowing her to find humor in vulnerability rather than exaggeration alone. It's why her characters never feel hollow. They feel lived in. That sense of quiet difference extended beyond her performances into how she navigated fame itself. She never tried to outshine the room. She let the work speak. In an industry obsessed with sameness and repetition, Catherine's uniqueness wasn't forced. It was organic, rooted in self-awareness and restraint. Learning humor as survival. Growing up in a large, energetic household taught Catherine O'Hara that humor was more than entertainment, it was communication. In a space where voices overlapped and attention was earned, wit became a way to connect rather than compete. That foundation followed her into the world of improvisation, where listening mattered just as much as speaking. At Second City, she wasn't trying to dominate scenes, she was shaping them. Comedy for her was never about taking the spotlight, but about elevating the moment. This approach allowed her to work seamlessly with others while still leaving an unmistakable imprint. She learned early that humor could diffuse tension, soften pain, and create belonging. Those lessons stayed with her throughout her career, guiding how she portrayed mothers, outsiders, and dreamers. Her comedy always carried empathy because it was born from understanding. Becoming part of collective memory. Some performances don't just succeed, they settle into culture. Catherine O'Hara achieved that rare distinction by becoming part of shared memory. Her characters appear during holidays, family gatherings, and moments of nostalgia, quietly stitching themselves into people's lives. These roles endure because they feel emotionally true. She never played perfection. She played care, panic, love, and resilience in equal measure. Over time, audiences stopped seeing the actor and started recognizing the feeling she represented. Comfort, familiarity, safety. That's a powerful responsibility, one she carried without ever exploiting it. She understood that repetition doesn't dull meaning if honesty remains intact. Every revisit feels earned. That is why her work continues to resonate across generations. It doesn't rely on trends or timing. It relies on humanity, and humanity doesn't expire. The discipline behind effortless comedy. What looks effortless on screen is almost always the result of relentless preparation, and Catherine O'Hara is known for treating comedy with surgical precision. Every pause, every glance, every inflection mattered to her. She didn't trust improvisation blindly. She refined it. Colleagues often describe her as meticulous, thoughtful, and quietly demanding of herself. This discipline wasn't driven by ego, but by respect for the craft. She believed comedy deserved the same seriousness as drama, because laughter requires trust. Audiences need to feel safe enough to let go. That standard pushed her to work harder than most, even when no one was watching. While others relied on charisma alone, Catherine relied on consistency. The result was work that aged gracefully, never feeling rushed or careless. Her precision is why her performances remain endlessly rewatchable. Reinvention without noise. True reinvention doesn't announce itself. It arrives fully formed. Catherine O'Hara demonstrated this later in her career by embracing roles that expanded her legacy without erasing her past. Instead of chasing relevance, she allowed relevance to find her through authenticity. These performances weren't attempts to reclaim attention, they were expressions of growth. She proved that creativity doesn't diminish with time, it deepens. Experience added layers to her humor, allowing her to balance absurdity with emotional depth. Audiences didn't just laugh, they listened. This phase of her career resonated because it felt earned, not manufactured. She wasn't reinventing herself for the industry, she was responding to herself. That distinction matters. It's why her later work felt like a continuation rather than a comeback. She showed that evolution doesn't require erasure, only honesty. Choosing privacy as strength. In an industry that thrives on exposure, Catherine O'Hara made privacy her quiet boundary. She rarely explained herself, not out of secrecy, but out of self-respect. She understood that some parts of life lose meaning when overexposed. By keeping her personal world protected, she preserved her creative energy. This choice often confused observers who expected constant visibility from someone so admired. But absence, in her case, wasn't retreat. It was balance. She showed that a fulfilling career doesn't require constant access. That restraint allowed her work to remain the focus, not her personal life. It also sent an unspoken message that dignity doesn't need justification. In a culture that rewards oversharing, her silence felt almost radical. It reminded audiences that artists are people first, and that boundaries are not weaknesses, but acts of care. The cost of always giving performers who specialize in joy often carry an invisible burden. When your work brings comfort to others, there is an unspoken expectation that you must always be okay. Catherine O'Hara navigated this pressure with grace, but it didn't make her immune to exhaustion. Giving emotionally requires replenishment, and she understood that sustainability mattered more than constant output. Her career reflects careful pacing rather than overexposure. She chose longevity over burnout, even when opportunities were plentiful. This awareness is part of what kept her grounded. She didn't confuse applause with fulfillment. Instead, she prioritized meaning, family, and inner stability. Her example challenges the myth that success requires self-sacrifice without limits. It suggests that protecting your energy is not selfish, but necessary. In honoring that balance, she preserved both her work and herself. What her legacy teaches us. Catherine O'Hara's legacy is not defined by volume, scandal, or spectacle. It is defined by consistency, humanity, and care. She showed us that laughter can be intelligent, kind, and enduring. She demonstrated that privacy can coexist with public impact. Most importantly, she reminded us that behind every beloved performance is a human being navigating the same fragility as everyone else. Her work encourages audiences to slow down, to notice the people who make life lighter, and to appreciate them while they are here. Legacy isn't about how loudly someone is remembered, it's about how deeply they are felt. Catherine's presence continues through the moments she shaped, the comfort she offered, and the trust she built with her audience. That kind of impact doesn't fade. It settles quietly and permanently into the fabric of culture.